Hey everybody, I am David, and today I want to talk about Star Trek. That's right, the Hollywood Reporter they reported a couple of days ago, maybe 2-3 days ago, that apparently Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine have walked out of negotiations for Star Trek 4, which would have brought back Chris Hemsworth, who played George T. Kirk from the first Star Trek movie that was directed by J.J. Abrams. He played Kirk's father, James Kirk's father, played by Chris Pine. And yeah, he was supposed to return, which kind of indicated that this could have been a time travel story. And if you go by what many Star Trek fans have pointed out, some of the best Star Trek movies are movies that involve time travel. That would include Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, Star Trek First Contact, and obviously 2009's Star Trek reboot from J.J. Abrams, which introduced Chris Hemsworth. So doing another time travel story, maybe that would help bring interest again in the franchise, because unfortunately the last movie, Star Trek Beyond, didn't do so great, and I did a review on that one back when that movie was released, and I ended up enjoying that film, not as much as the first two Star Trek films from J.J. Abrams. I know the last one wasn't done by J.J., but he still produced it, so it was still under his umbrella, but I enjoyed that one, and I was sad when I heard it didn't do well, because I think the cast is really great, and I think it's still different from Star Wars, that they don't really need to be compared to. The only thing that makes them similar is that they both take place in space, but their ideas and their stories are very different from one another, that I think people can take different things from both franchises. This is kind of sad news to me, because I really like Chris Pine as Captain Kirk. And this is coming from someone who's never a huge fan of the original series. I've only seen the first episode of the original series. Every time I try to go back and watch it, I watch the first episode and then I get bored and I'm not interested again afterwards. But I have seen the other movies with the original cast, and I've enjoyed most of those movies. Obviously, Star Trek The Next Generation was the one that I grew up with, because my mom was a huge fan of The Next Generation, so I would watch it too while she watched it when I was younger. And but it was the J.J. Abrams films that really got me interested in the mythology of Star Trek and those cast of characters, and that's what makes me, I think, appreciate and respect the original crew that much more. And the cast is definitely a huge part of that. And Chris Pine, Star Trek, I don't know how you're going to find somebody. You could recast, but I don't know how you're going to find somebody that's better than Chris Pine. Chris Pine is, I don't want to say the heart, because I think a lot of them add something to it, but you take out one of those puzzles from that puzzle set, and then it's starting to slowly fall apart, and you already lost one cast member, and if you lose another, I mean, that's going to be rough on getting people to come back and see this franchise, because there's one thing about some of the other cast members. There's another thing about Chris Pine as Kirk, because he is the centerpiece of all of this. And I would say Zachary Quinto as Spock as well. I think he's another piece, because their relationship, Spock and Kirk's relationship, has always been a huge part of the franchise, just like William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy back from the original. But Chris Hemsworth, I think you could do it without, but then you wouldn't be able to do that time travel element. And some people have been saying, well, you could always recast the role of George Kirk. And yeah, you could, but what's the difference? If there's a salary dispute, what's going on here, according to the Hollywood Reporter, the reason they walked away from it is because of salary disputes. They're not happy with the negotiating that Paramount is doing with them. They want the deal. Chris Pine wants the deal that he was originally supposed to get, and Chris Hemsworth just, hey, I want to be paid Marvel money or I'm not doing it. Which is fair. I think both parties have fair points. Why shouldn't they get paid what they're worth? But Paramount, from my understanding, is saying that, well, the last Star Trek movie didn't do so great as we were expecting, so we can't give you that sort of money. Which, again, is also fair on their part. To me, it looks like a lose-lose situation, unless somebody is able to come to an agreement and say, unless Paramount is able to say, okay, let's give this guy what he wants, or if one of the actors are going to say, okay, for this movie, I'll let you pay me what you need to pay me. And I don't know, that's the only thing I could say. With that being said, guys, I want you to comment below and tell me your thoughts on this move from Paramount and the actors. Who do you think's right? Who do you think's wrong? Do you think both parties are right? And like I said, this is a lose-lose situation, or do you think there could be something that they could work out? Do you think they should continue this franchise without Chris Pine and just recast Kirk, which I think is a bad idea? So there's many questions to look at and think about. For myself, if Pine doesn't come, I think they should just scrap and start all over with a new cast. You could do it without Chris Pine, but again, it's that puzzle piece that people want to see. And if you're going to recast the major centerpiece of that puzzle, then you might as just recast all of it. So with that being said, I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, take care.